Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're going to dive into how one single, incredibly mundane upload literally flipped our entire obsession with stars from the ground up. We're looking at a fascinating piece of internet history, exploring a shift that permanently changed the fabric of media as we know it. When you think about fame, you probably picture something very specific, right? Well, what if I told you that the modern landscape of celebrity wasn't built on a multi-million-dollar movie set, but actually in front of a zoo enclosure? So let's really dive into this. Did Hollywood invent our obsession with stars? I mean, it's a question we absolutely need to ask. For generations, we've just sort of operated under the assumption that the giant studio system created our modern celebrity culture. We picture the glamorous red carpets, the carefully crafted press releases, the completely untouchable icons of the silver screen. We assume that kind of massive, top-down machinery is the only way society learns to obsess over people. But as our source material reveals, the real turning point for how we consume fame today happened far, far away from any Hollywood backlot. Section 1. The Hollywood Illusion. Moving right along to Part 2, 18 Seconds in April. Okay, so to really understand this shift, we first have to look at the baseline. Before the internet age fully took hold, fame was a tightly controlled, highly manufactured illusion. It took studios, executives, and massive budgets to put people on pedestals so high that the average person could really only ever look up at them. The audience was completely separated from the star. But to see exactly when this historical pivot happened, when that illusion was totally shattered, our timeline takes us to April 2005. A man named Jawed Karim, who, fun fact, happened to be a co-founder of YouTube, uploads a clip titled simply, "Me at the Zoo." He stands in front of some elephants, he looks at the camera, and he effectively changes internet history. He just says one sentence about the elephant's trunks. That is the whole shebang. It's historically grounded as the very first YouTube upload, sure, but its cultural impact goes way, way beyond just being first. It basically established a completely new grammar for how human beings can interact with an audience. The video was exactly 18 seconds long. Just 18 seconds. I mean, think about that in contrast to the 2-hour epic feature films Hollywood used to build its stars. In just a fraction of a minute, this clip managed to lay the groundwork for an entirely new era of media consumption. It didn't need a sprawling narrative arc to be effective. The brevity itself was actually part of the revolution. And you know what's truly interesting here? The sheer banality of it all. Look at the formula. Absolutely no polish. Zero PR. Just a regular person on a camera. There was no lighting crew, no script writers telling him what to say about the elephants, no makeup artists. And that lack of production value, it wasn't a mistake. It actually became the defining feature. The strangest part of this whole history is that the absolute ordinariness of the moment is exactly what gave it its incredible power. Which brings us to Section 3, the end of gatekeepers. This tiny, totally ordinary moment signaled the collapse of traditional barriers. It proved a massive concept. Anyone could be seen. You didn't need permission anymore. Let's compare these two worlds for a second. Before April 2005, achieving fame meant you had to navigate studios and gatekeepers. You had to convince a handful of executives in a boardroom that you were worthy of being put on a screen. But after it, ordinary people gained the power to speak directly to you. No middlemen, no filters. Just a direct line from a person with a camera to a viewer with the screen. This structural shift completely decentralized fame. Let's move on to Part 4, craving digital intimacy. Imagine being there in 2005. You're sitting at a bulky desktop computer, you click a clip, and you feel like you just met someone new, without the barrier of a television screen. What nobody tells you is that this specific lack of production value, this casual, close-up style, is exactly what made audiences start craving genuine intimacy from the people they watched. Because Jawed wasn't reciting lines on a soundstage, he was just casually observing elephants. The viewer felt included in his actual, real life. The less polished it was, the more authentic it felt. And honestly, as an audience, we became absolutely addicted to that authenticity. We stopped wanting untouchable stars on pedestals, and we started wanting creators right in our living rooms. This brilliantly illustrates the birth of parasocial friendships. The source material highlights this as a direct consequence of that close-up style. A parasocial relationship is fundamentally a one-sided psychological relationship where you, the viewer, feel a deep, intimate connection to a media personality, even though they have no idea you exist. Hollywood had fans, for sure. But the internet? The internet created friends. This fundamentally altered human sociology and how we interact with media. We started investing our emotions into ordinary people on camera simply because they spoke directly to us. Part 5. Birth of the Influencer. Now, we need to be a bit careful here to preserve factual accuracy. While historical evidence reminds us that one single 18-second zoo clip didn't create this massive shift entirely in a vacuum, it unquestionably acted as the catalyst. We can trace a really clear, logical arc here. Step 1, the unpolished 2005 upload demonstrates that ordinary people can reach an audience directly. Step 2, that casual, unscripted format makes viewers crave intimacy rather than Hollywood perfection. And Step 3, that craving for intimacy directly fuels the birth and rise of the modern influencer. They're a totally new type of star whose entire appeal relies on parasocial connection rather than studio manufacturing. We navigate this influencer-driven world every single day now, and it all maps back to this structural shift.
So, knowing what we know now, knowing that the specific type of content would help dismantle traditional Hollywood gatekeeping, birth parasocial friendships, and essentially create the multi-billion-dollar era of the modern influencer, I want to leave you with this final provocative thought. Put yourself in those shoes, back in April 2005, holding a camera in front of the elephants. Knowing the massive cultural shift it would spark, would you have uploaded that 18-second clip? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep questioning the media landscape around you, and I'll catch you next time.